Humans can't love us. Alien girl defied her clan after human man exposed their dark secret. Syrinx had grown up hearing the same truth every day of her life. Humans could not love. The elders of the Violin Collective said it calmly, confidently, as if it were a law of physics. Humans were emotional copies, empty creatures that learned to imitate feelings the way machines copied voices. They smiled because they were trained to smile. They protected others because they feared punishment. Nothing more. Syrinx believed this for most of her life. She was a young xenolinguist stationed on orbital station K-17, a massive metal ring floating between two stars. Her job was simple: translate human data logs and convert them into approved collective records. Anything dangerous or emotionally misleading was removed before it reached the public archives. At least, that was what she was told. The first crack in her belief came from a small error, a missing timestamp. One file referenced a human engineer named Evan Holt who had volunteered for a task labeled high fatality risk. The file ended abruptly. No reward listed, no command order, just one line that confused her. He went anyway. Syrinx frowned as she reread it. Humans avoided death according to collective science. They valued survival above all else. So why would one choose a task that offered no benefit? She flagged the file and sent a query to her supervisor. The reply came quickly. Do not pursue this record. Archive deletion approved. That was unusual. Curiosity stirred in her chest, a feeling she was taught to suppress. Still, she said nothing and continued her work. Days later, the station suffered a sudden systems failure. Gravity flickered. Lights died. Alarms screamed in unfamiliar rhythms. Syrinx was in a maintenance corridor when the floor shook violently. She lost balance and slammed into a wall, her neural bands sparking painfully against her skull. Her vision blurred. Her legs would not respond. She tried to call for help, but her voice came out weak. Footsteps echoed through the smoke. A human voice followed. "Hey, stay with me, don't move." She recognized him instantly, Evan Holt. He knelt beside her, ignoring the warning lights flashing red above them. Radiation levels were rising. Any Violin officer would have sealed the corridor and waited for clearance. Evan didn't. He lifted her carefully, shielding her body with his own as debris fell around them. His breath was tight, strained, but steady. "This is going to hurt a bit," he said softly. "I've got you." He carried her through collapsing halls, coughing, stumbling, until they reached a sealed bulkhead. Only then did he set her down and signal for medical help. When Syrinx woke in the infirmary, the first thing she asked was why he had come back. "You could have left," she said quietly. Evan sat nearby, his arm wrapped in a medical brace, his skin pale from exposure. He shrugged. "You were still in there. That was it. No pride. No anger. No demand for gratitude. Just a fact." From that moment, Syrinx began to watch humans more closely. She noticed how they gathered when one was injured, even when ordered to disperse. How they left personal objects at memorial walls. How they spoke to machines as if kindness might make them work better. She found more missing files, more deleted truths. Human history logs filled with loss, sacrifice, and something the collective called emotional instability. Yet the pattern was clear. Humans did not erase these events, they remembered them. One evening she asked Evan directly, "Why do humans record pain instead of removing it?" Evan thought for a moment. "Because forgetting it means it happens again." That answer stayed with her. Weeks later, Syrinx accessed a sealed archive layer she was never meant to see. It was labeled Pre-Purge Collective History. What she found made her hands tremble. Ancient Violin records showed a species very different from the one she knew. Families, bonds, mourning rituals. Even words that no longer existed in modern language. Concepts similar to love. Then came the purge. The elders of that era had decided love weakened decision-making. It caused hesitation, mercy, rebellion. So they removed it genetically and culturally, rewriting history and laws until emotion itself became taboo. Humans were encountered shortly after. Humans who still loved. Humans who reminded the collective of what they had destroyed. So the myth was born. Humans can't love. Syrinx felt something crack inside her. She confronted the elders with the data. Their response was cold. Emotion is chaos, one elder said. Humans are proof of that. They spread instability wherever they go. You're afraid of them, Syrinx said. Silence followed. That was answer enough. Evan was arrested the next cycle, charged with unauthorized data sharing and emotional contamination. A quiet punishment, disappearance. Syrinx found him in a holding chamber, restrained but calm. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He looked up and smiled faintly. "Hey, you did what you could." That broke her completely. She activated the broadcast channel, uploading fragments of the forbidden archives to every public network she could reach. Before security dragged her away, Syrinx spoke one last truth. Humans do not lack love, they survive because of it. As alarms echoed across the station, the lie that ruled the stars began to fracture, and humanity was no longer silent. The broadcast did not stop when Syrinx was taken away. The elders had expected fear. They had expected confusion. What they did not expect was silence followed by questions. Across the Vireland collective, screens replayed fragments of the forbidden archives. Old images showed Vireland standing close together, touching hands, lowering their heads in grief. Words long erased appeared again, unfamiliar but powerful. Concepts that had no modern meaning stirred something deep and uncomfortable. Love. The elders issued emergency orders, declaring the broadcast false and dangerous. They blamed humans, calling them emotional parasites who infected others with weakness. Patrol units were sent to shut down stations where unrest began to spread. But something had changed. The patrols hesitated. On orbital station K-17, humans were confined to their quarters. No violence followed, no sabotage. Instead, humans gathered quietly. They shared food, they shared stories, they checked on each other and waited. The elders watched this with growing anger. They should be panicking, one elder said. They should be fighting. They are preparing, another replied. Evan Holt sat in a detention chamber, hands restrained, face tired but calm. Guards watched him closely, expecting rage or fear. They saw neither. A young Vireland guard finally spoke. "Why aren't you angry?" Evan looked up. "Because anger won't help," the guard frowned. "They are going to erase you." Evan nodded slowly. "Maybe, but if I hate them, then they were right about us." Those words spread faster than any broadcast. The elders made their final decision. They would expose humans fully. A public display. A test. They ordered a staged evacuation failure on a nearby trade station, knowing panic would spread quickly. Humans would be blamed when chaos followed. But chaos did not come. When alarms sounded, humans moved first. They organized evacuations, carried injured Virelands, and sealed breaches without orders. They risked themselves without hesitation, not because they were commanded, but because someone needed help. Vireland civilians watched humans shield strangers with their own bodies. They heard humans speak comfort in quiet voices. They saw humans stay behind to make sure no one was left. The elders' plan collapsed in real time. Syrinx, held in a containment cell, felt the station vibrate with emergency movement. A guard opened her cell without a word and stepped aside. "You were right," the guard said quietly. She ran. In the central council chamber, the elders argued loudly as reports flooded in. Systems failed not from attack but from refusal. Enforcement units would not fire. Overseers questioned orders. Then Evan was brought before the council. He stood alone, restrained, surrounded by beings who feared him. One elder spoke. "You prove our point. Your emotions spread disorder." Evan met their gaze. "No, fear does that. We just refuse to let it decide for us." "You would let us fall," another elder demanded. Evan shook his head. "We're trying to help you stand." That broke the chamber. Sarek stepped forward, unrestrained now, her voice steady. "You taught us that love was weakness," she said. "But you removed it because it made you hesitate to harm others." The elders denied it, but their voices shook. The final archive was released. The last lie dissolved. Across the collective, citizens felt something awaken, not chaos, not madness. Something old and quiet and strong. Choice. The elders were removed without violence. No executions, no revenge. They were simply no longer obeyed. Humanity did not claim power. They refused rulership. They asked only for partnership. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy watched something impossible. A civilization rebuilt not through force but through trust. Sarek stood beside Evan at the observation deck, stars stretching endlessly before them. "What happens now?" she asked. Evan smiled softly. "Now we keep choosing to be better." The galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. You can erase love, but humanity proved one thing. You can never erase what it teaches you to protect. The change did not come all at once. After the elders lost control, the Violin Collective did not suddenly become peaceful or united. Old habits were strong. Fear did not disappear just because the truth was known. Many Violins still believed emotion was dangerous. Others felt something new inside them and did not know how to handle it. The galaxy watched closely. Syrinx became a symbol without asking to be one. To some, she was a traitor who broke sacred laws. To others, she was proof that the past had been stolen from them. Every time she walked through a public corridor, eyes followed her. Some curious, some afraid, some hopeful. She did not feel strong. She felt tired. Evan noticed it first. He watched how she paused before speaking, how her hands shook when crowds gathered. "You don't have to carry all of this," he told her quietly one evening. Syrinx looked at the stars outside the station window. "If I stop, the fear comes back. They will want simple lies again." Evan nodded. "Then we walk it together." That was how humans did things, not alone. Never alone. The first true test came sooner than expected. A border world sent an emergency signal. A Violin colony near the outer systems had declared independence. Its leaders claimed emotion was a human disease and demanded all humans be removed or destroyed. Old collective warships moved toward the system, commanded by officers loyal to the past. Panic spread. The new council argued. Some wanted to strike first. Others wanted to retreat. Fear tried to take control again. Syrinx stood before them and felt the old pressure return. "If we answer fear with force," she said, "we prove the elders right. And if we do nothing," a council member demanded, "we look weak." Evan stepped forward. "Then let us be weak," he said calmly, "and see what happens." Silence filled the chamber. Against every old instinct, the council agreed. No fleet was sent. Instead, one ship traveled to the border world. No weapons active. No threats transmitted. On board were Syrinx, Evan, and a small mixed crew of humans and Violins. When they arrived, they were met by armed defenses and angry broadcasts. "You bring contamination," the colony leaders declared. "Leave or be destroyed." Syrinx requested permission to land. Denied, so they waited. Days passed. Supplies ran low on the colony. Fear turned inward. Children cried. Workers collapsed from exhaustion. The leaders argued among themselves. Then something unexpected happened. A damaged transport crashed outside the colony's shield. A Violin family was trapped inside. The council debated for hours. Humans did not. Evan ordered the shuttle launched. The shuttle crossed the fire line unarmed. Defense cannons powered up, then powered down. No one fired. The humans pulled the family free. They gave them water, wrapped them in blankets, spoke gently. The cameras were on. The lie could not survive that image. Inside the colony, something broke, not violently, quietly. People began to remember things they had never lived but somehow knew were missing. The leaders surrendered without a fight. That moment changed everything. Across the galaxy, worlds began asking questions instead of issuing threats. Humans were invited not as workers or soldiers but as teachers, not of weapons, of cooperation. This made some humans uncomfortable. "We're not heroes," Evan told a human council later. "We're just people who chose not to give up." That humility confused many species. Power usually demanded recognition. Humanity did not. Sarek struggled the most during this time. As more violence allowed emotion to return, pain returned with it. Regret, grief, shame. They came to her with their suffering. She listened. Sometimes she cried when she was alone. Evan stayed. "You don't need to fix everything," he reminded her. "But I helped break it," she replied. Evan shook his head. "You helped reveal it." The difference mattered. Years passed. The collective transformed into something new, slower, messier, more alive. Human children played alongside violent children on shared stations. Languages mixed, traditions formed, some failed, others lasted. There were still conflicts. Humanity did not erase that. But they changed how conflicts ended. The galaxy learned something simple and frightening. Humans could feel deeply and still choose restraint. They could love and still stand firm. They could forgive without forgetting. On a quiet station far from politics, Sarek and Evan watched a sunrise over a shared world. "Do you ever regret staying?" Sarek asked. Evan thought for a moment. "No, because this matters." She nodded slowly. For the first time in her life, she understood something the old language had once held. Love was not weakness. It was the reason anyone chose to protect tomorrow, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Peace did not arrive as a celebration. There were no great parades across the stars, no loud declarations that everything was finally safe. What came instead was something quieter and more difficult: learning. The new generation of the violent people struggled with emotions they had never been taught to understand. Joy felt too strong. Sadness felt endless. Anger frightened them most of all. Many asked if the elders had been right, if emotion really was a danger. Sarek spent most of her days listening. She traveled from station to station, world to world, not as a ruler or commander, but as a guide. She told the truth every time, even when it hurt. "Yes, emotion brings pain," she would say, "but it also brings meaning. Without it, survival is empty." Some believed her. Some did not. Evan stayed mostly out of public view. Humanity had become a symbol, and he disliked symbols. He worked with engineers, helped rebuild damaged worlds, and trained mixed crews where humans and violins worked side by side. He believed change happened faster when people worked together instead of arguing. One cycle, a distress call arrived from deep space. A forgotten mining station, built long before the purge, had reactivated on its own power. Its systems were unstable. Its population was small, isolated, and terrified. The signal was old violin code. Sarek recognized it immediately. "That station was sealed before the purge," she said quietly. "No one was ever supposed to go back." "Then they've been alone for a very long time," Evan replied. They went together. The station drifted slowly, lights dim and uneven. Inside, they found violins who had never undergone emotional removal. Their ancestors had been abandoned, labeled defective and forgotten. These violins felt everything: fear, hope, love, rage. They did not trust the collective. They did not trust humans. They expected punishment. Instead, Evan asked them what they needed: food, repairs, time. Sarek spoke with their elders, hearing stories of generations spent hiding emotion instead of erasing it. Songs passed down quietly, stories told only in darkness. When Sarek wept openly while listening, the station elders stared in shock. "You feel it too," one whispered. "Yes," Sarek replied, "and I am sorry it took us so long to find you." This meeting changed something important. For the first time, the violent people saw what they might have been if the purge had never happened. Not perfect, not peaceful, but alive. The old fear weakened further. Not everyone accepted this path. A final resistance formed among former collective commanders. They believed the galaxy was slipping into chaos. They gathered fleets and threatened open war, claiming humanity had corrupted the stars. The new council hesitated. Syrinx did not. She volunteered to speak to them alone. Evan argued fiercely against it. "They're desperate," he said. "That's dangerous." "So is fear left unanswered," she replied. She went. The commanders surrounded her with weapons and accusations. They demanded she denounce humanity and restore the old order. Syrinx stood calmly before them. "You removed love because it scared you," she said. "But fear ruled you anyway." They laughed at her. "You think emotion will save us," one shouted. "No," Syrinx answered. "I think choice will." She activated a transmission. Across the battlefield, human ships powered down their weapons. Medical vessels moved forward. Supply ships followed. No attack came. Evan's voice carried across open channels. "We won't fight you," he said. "But we won't abandon you either." The commanders faced a truth they could not destroy. Humanity was not trying to win. They were trying to stay human. The resistance collapsed without a single shot fired. Some commanders surrendered, others fled. None were hunted. That restraint echoed louder than any battle. Years passed. The galaxy stabilized into something unfamiliar. Slower decisions, longer debates, fewer wars. When violence came, it was contained, not celebrated. Children grew up hearing stories not just of survival but of kindness. Syrinx aged differently now that emotion lived fully within her species. She laughed more, she cried more. She felt fear and did not run from it. Evan grew older too. His hair grayed, his movements slowed, but his eyes remained steady. One quiet evening they sat together watching ships pass between stars. "Do you think they'll forget again?" Syrinx asked softly. Evan considered the question carefully. "Maybe," he said, "but forgetting won't be easy this time." "Why?" "Because now they know what it costs." Syrinx nodded. When Evan finally passed, it was peaceful, surrounded by humans and Virelins alike. His death was mourned openly across systems, not because he was powerful, but because he was kind. Statues were offered. Humanity refused them. Instead, they asked for shared schools, shared crews, shared futures. Syrinx lived long enough to see a galaxy that no longer asked if humans could love. The question had become something else entirely. Could anyone afford not to? As her life ended, she felt no fear. Only gratitude. Humanity had not conquered the stars with weapons. They had done something far more difficult. They reminded the galaxy what it meant to be alive.